Hello everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand. Welcome to another video. I'd like to think those of you who follow me here do so because you want open, honest debate. You want to arrive at your own conclusions. You don't want things shoved in your face. And of course, you want to hear things that are not being reported in the mainstream media, our corrupt and captured mainstream media that doesn't keep you as informed as it should. So on that note, let me share with you the latest data, alarming data regarding excess deaths in Europe. Now, I did make a couple of videos at the beginning of last month on this topic, and I wanted to give you an update because the very worrying trend is continuing. The data I'm about to share with you is from the United Kingdom. Before I dive into it, actually, today was a historic day in the United Kingdom. We have another Prime Minister over there. And I say another because it is the third Prime Minister in just over a couple of months. Rishi Sunak is now the Prime Minister. It's a historic day. Now, I have to say I didn't agree with a lot of what Rishi Sunak was doing politically during the pandemic when he was the Chancellor, Finance Minister of the country. But of course, he is the first ethnic minority Prime Minister of the UK. And on that level, I have to say, as someone who has an Indian background, my parents are also first generation Indian Punjabi immigrants to the United Kingdom. It is, of course, a very historic moment. And I couldn't have imagined, as I'm sure many people in the United Kingdom couldn't have imagined that happening a couple of decades ago. So that is a moment in history. And of course, I hope he does an actual good job now with the country and turning things around. And I do wish him the best in that role because the country has a lot of problems right now. And one thing that I would actually urge him to also look into are the high number of excess deaths which are occurring in the UK. This has been reported across Europe actually, as I said in my last video. And I can't stress enough, I know I've brought up this point before, I know I have a lot of viewers in the United States. Sadly here in the US we cannot rely on American data. It is quite frankly rubbish, it is fragmented, and if we truly want to follow the data and the science and look at trends, we have to look at the smaller European countries which do keep accurate data. So let me share with you this from the United Kingdom then. So here we have the UK government website, deaths registered weekly in England and Wales, provisional week ending the 14th of October 2022, the latest data. In the week ending the 14th of October, 11,699 deaths were registered in England and Wales. 565 of these deaths mentioned the virus, accounting for 4.8% of all deaths, so the minority of deaths from the virus. This is an increase compared with the week ending the 7th of October, when the number of all-cause deaths registered was 11,207. Of the 565 deaths involving the virus in week 41, 66.2% had this recorded as the underlying cause of death, which is a higher proportion than the week before. The number of deaths was above the 5-year average in private homes, 26.8% above the 5-year average. So let me repeat that number again, 26.8% above the 5-year average in private homes. Hospitals, 14.3% above 646 excess deaths. Care homes, 10.6% above 232 excess deaths. And other settings, 5% above 41 excess deaths in week 41 in England and Wales. The number of deaths registered in the UK in the week ending 14th of October was 13,253, which was 14.9% above the 5-year average. So basically 15% above the average, 1,719 excess deaths. Of these deaths, 625 involved the virus, which was 176 more than the week before. So how about the immediate weeks before? Let's recap because I haven't had a chance since my last videos, which were at the beginning of last month, to address this topic. So here are the latest numbers. Here we have the week ending the 7th of October 2022. The number of deaths registered in the UK in the week ending 7th of October was 12,793, which was 13.7% above the 5-year average. How about the week before that, the week ending the 30th of September 2022? The number of deaths registered in the UK in the week ending the 30th of September was 12,491, which was 13.8% above the 5-year average, 1,519 excess deaths. So is the media reporting on these alarming statistics? Well, here we have some publications. The Actuary, not the largest publication, UK mortality rates hit 12-year high. And here we have the New Scientist, actually from last month. There are thousands more UK deaths than usual, and we don't know why. How about Europe? I mentioned in my last video that these numbers were being repeated across several European countries, including Portugal, which was actually one of the highest numbers of excess deaths being reported. Here we have a publication from Eurostat, which is a European Union publication. Excess mortality hits 16% plus, highest 2022 value so far. This was also published last month. And how about medical journals? Are they touching this story? And here we have the British Medical Journal with a very recent publication, 20th of October 2022. What is driving excess deaths in England and Wales? And the article does make mention here of a few different possibilities, but obviously can't nail anything down. So I do commend the British Medical Journal for at least starting this discussion. I could not imagine that here in the United States. I couldn't imagine any major US medical journal talking about this. Maybe it's because we don't have data, reliable data from the United States. But anyway, at least the UK is, and I'm hopeful that other European medical journals will start to discuss this because the trend has been going on for long enough. I'd like to focus on these particular points then. The first thing to say is the sheer scale of these numbers. We're not talking about 1 or 2% increases being reported in official government figures. We're talking about staggering numbers greater than 10%, 15% here. It's been closer to 20% before. What on earth is going on? And this is happening in other European countries as well. Way more people dying than would be expected. I do remember last time when I was reporting on this, a lot of people were saying that the unprecedented heat waves were contributing to the excess deaths over the summer. Well, guess what? We've had September go by, we're now well into October, and we're still seeing these excess deaths. So obviously it's not the heat waves because they are long finished. Then we have a lot of people who have said that it is the delayed effects of lockdowns. Now, I know right at the beginning of the pandemic, we were diverting a lot of resources to pandemic management, but I'm struggling to see how that could still be a major issue. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some people, if we're talking about the UK, some people who are in the NHS could enlighten me some more if we've got extreme delays in care for other conditions, including cardiac disease or cancer, whatever it is we're talking about. Could there be some other factors to do with the initial lockdowns, continued increasing rates of alcoholism, drug use, etc.? My overall impression is that drug use is way less in Europe than it is in North America, but maybe that's on the table as well. But think about this. We are now 2.5 years into this pandemic. Most countries have declared the pandemic over and life has resumed as normal. Why on earth now would we be seeing surges in excess deaths? It makes no sense whatsoever. We would expect fewer people to be dying, but we're seeing these increased excess deaths keep showing up week after week. It's all very strange indeed. By now, the vast majority of people have either had the virus or they've been jabbed. You wouldn't expect this particular pattern. Something very strange is going on. Now, I want to see a full, complete, transparent government investigation into this. And again, we will not see anything like this in the United States, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we may see this happen in Europe. And I'd like to start with the United Kingdom. The first thing that I urge the UK government to do is you have these statistics. Tell us right now what the age breakdown is. Release that information. Obviously, it is way more concerning if younger people are dying. Now, we saw those increases in deaths in private homes. Are younger people suddenly dropping dead? What is going on here? Or are we talking about older people at home? We won't know until you release that data, and it must be done. We have to investigate it. Rishi Sunak, the new Prime Minister, I say to you, large numbers of citizens are dying here in higher numbers than would be expected. So please direct your health department to immediately look into this with all options on the table. I have my own thoughts as to other factors that could be involved in this. But the first thing I want is that age breakdown, and then take everything from there with a full, independent, transparent, and honest investigation into this. Thanks everyone for listening. Dr. Suneel Dhand. Do hit the subscribe button down below for more similar videos in the future. Also hit the bell button so you get notified when I make more videos. Remember 3 things. Modern mainstream culture will make you very sick very fast. Sadly, a lot of healthcare and medicine has become very corrupt indeed, and fewer things are to be more cherished than our freedom. Do also come follow me on my uncensored platform, locals.com. That link is down below, where we have more open, honest, and interesting discussions away from this environment of big tech, censorship, and silencing. Very sad I need to say that in the United States, but I do. We will talk again very soon.